What's up, everybody? Welcome back into TK Wrestling. We are here to talk about Backlash 2025. Already this weekend, like we've been saying. Short turnaround.
Really quick.
Yeah, short turnaround. I think some fun matches, though. Backlash over the last few years has been one of those fun PLEs immediately following WrestleMania, especially recently when they did it in Puerto Rico and France. Those crowds were absolutely popping, absolutely hype. And I hope that St. Louis is going to give us a little bit more of that post-WrestleMania Backlash energy, especially since it's such a short time after. But
Backlash. I've been thinking about this. Like I said, we know we're going to talk about it, so I've been running through my list and everything, and I'm like, look, what is Backlash going to do to qualify itself as a PLE? Because right now, I'm afraid we're going to go down the list here, and we're going to be you and I, we're going to be chalk. So that's what I'm worried about here. So I don't know where you want to start, how you want to do this, but I want to talk about the end. I got a question for you at the end, I guess. So
yeah, I guess our predictions aren't going to be necessarily more of who's right and who's wrong. It's going to be seeing how they can surprise us. I think that's
what I'm saying. Like, what's the surprise here in Backlash? Because I feel like right now, everywhere I thought, like everything, like there's only one match I could even slightly waver on right now. You know, I mean, so that's.
And I think we're probably on the same page with that match too. So. But we'll get into it. All right, so let's start off with, we'll go in the order that CBS Sports has it. We're going to start off with the Intercontinental Championship being defended by Dominic Mysterio against Penta. Matt, I'll let you start this one out because I know Penta is your boy, so you go ahead.
Oh, look, no, this is going to be a lot of fun. Like, this is going to be, and I do hope this opens, because if this opens, this should be high energy. You know, there should be, you know, like I said, we're going to see Penta fly. We're going to see Dominic showing more of that in-ring talent that you keep telling me he has. We're going to see more of that, you know. I think the real question here is going to be, what does Finn do, right? Like, that's the big question. I mean, I guess what does a Judgment Day do in general? How many of them are showing up? Because right now we know Liv Morgan's out there filming a movie or something like that, so she's not going to be there. Probably no Raquel. I'm assuming Carlito's at least going to be there, but is JD going to be there? Is Finn going to be there? And in what capacity? And then on top of that, you've got the other side of the equation, which is Chad Gable, you know, or maybe El Grande Americano, you know. I mean, so I think really in this match, I think a lot of like a lot of these matches, actually, I feel like the guest stars are maybe going to be the more interesting side, or maybe where we get the surprise, because I feel like both you and I are on the same boat here. Dom retains this. I feel like he wins, but there's going to have to be some sort of shenanigans, unless, and it can't happen this early, unless Finn causes Dom to lose. But I don't think that's happening this early. I feel like that's going to be a story they build a little more. But does Finn get in the way? You know, like what happens, you know, like where's the surprise here? You know, it's got to be probably involving Finn, but does he get in the way? Because I mean, you know, Carlito's going to do Carlito, you know, JD just fine, you know, like I said, so it's going to be Finn, right?
Yeah, I think so, maybe. And in terms of Liv coming back, apparently she's going to be gone a lot less time than we initially thought.
Right, no, she's going to be back like sooner than we think, but she's not going to be back for Backlash.
I think maybe the Raw after, but I don't think she'll be back for Saturday yet. And I really think honestly, we're going to get kind of into a Carlito and Raquel, maybe love angle down the line. I feel like a little comedic love angle is in their cards for their future. You know, the small, funny guy that doesn't really do much around falls for the big, brooding, powerful woman of the group who's actually kind of soft at heart. We've seen that trope in that storyline used a few times, and I kind of see that in the future for them. But in terms of Finn, I mean, we talked about it on our Raw review about a lot of the directions that Finn could go and what could happen with Finn after the inevitable split that I think we all see coming. And I don't know, maybe the big moment is Finn again trying to help Dom, and it kind of backfires. And that doesn't necessarily mean that Dom has to lose the title, but maybe Finn can try, and then it just fails, and then Dom eventually gets like a sneaky win or a roll-up win or even a DQ win or something.
Or what if Finn tries to help Penta?
Maybe.
And it backfires, but Dom sees it, you know?
Yeah. Or what if here you go. Here's what maybe I'm thinking now is Finn tries to help Penta, or maybe even not help Penta, just tries to cause Dominic to lose, and maybe it like works out against him, and Dominic accidentally wins, and then he claims credit for it after. He's like, that's what I meant to do the whole time. I knew you were going to win. I had faith in you the whole time, dude. So I think we're still going to get a slow burn I don't think that Finn's going to exactly turn yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see something happen in this match that gives us the green flag that we are on the track to Finn officially being out of the Judgment Day. I'd be surprised if we make it to SummerSlam and Finn is still in this group. My long-term booking has Finn and Dominic at SummerSlam. That's my long-term is what I'm seeing here. But yeah, I'm in agreement with you. Dominic, I think, retains. He's the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time. And yeah, I think he's going to just keep solidifying his reign as the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time.
Do we see Chad Gable?
I think we could. Well, maybe his friend El Grande Americano does come out, because according to Chad Gable, El Grande Americano es numero uno. You know what I'm saying? I think Matt, I think you're right. And I think that we're on the track for that inevitable tag team match, however they work it out. And maybe we're overthinking it. Maybe one of the Creed brothers are going to get under a mask and they're going to try to sell us this facade of like, no, that's him. That's been him the whole time. And it's really Julius Creed and he's like 6 inches taller. And Chad's like, no, that's been him this whole time. So I don't know where exactly that all goes. There's definitely going to be shenanigans. But I think in the midst of it all, even if it means Penta getting a win in terms of a DQ or something like that, I think Dominic Mysterio walks out of Backlash still as the champion.
Here's another rumor that I've seen floating around. Let me tell me what you think of this one.
Okay.
Chad Gable quits American Made, joins up with the Judgment Day.
Ooh, man, I don't necessarily see that one too much.
I
at
thought
least
it was
not right now.
I didn't see it, but when I read it, I just had to bring it to you. I mean,
at least not right now.
I can see him getting sick of American Made. I can see Finn on the out and bringing Gable in to replace Finn. I don't know, but I don't see it overall. I don't see it.
Yeah. I was about to say there have to be a lot of dots that you connect in order to make that make sense in my brain, especially right now. If you're talking about 6 months or a year down the line, I guess I'd be willing to hear you out because you can do a lot of work in 6 months to a year. But even at the bare bones of it, Chad Gable just doesn't feel like the type of character that would fit well into the Judgment Day. They're a little more of a dark brooding, group, and he doesn't really give off that vibe. So I'd be more open to hearing Karrion Kross joining the Judgment Day, maybe eventually one day. He gives off a little more of the vibe that would fit the group. But in terms of Chad Gable, I think I would see him more as a singles competitor if he was to ever break away from American Made, personally.
All right. No, I saw it. I was like, that doesn't make any sense. So I need you to tell me it didn't make any sense as well.
Yeah.
Some of these rumors or whatever I come across are completely left field. So
yeah, you see in some of these wrestling groups, you're like, where the hell did you even think of that, dude? Like, because if you're like really deep in the internet wrestling community, you can find a lot of those dirt sheets. And there's sometimes I see a rumor, I'm like, I'm not even seeing that on dirt sheets. That's how I know how redonkulous that is, that you're even pitching this idea out there. But all right, jumping into the next match, we have for the United States Championship, we have Jacob Fatu defending in a fatal 4-way match against Drew McIntyre, LA Knight, and Damian Priest. Now, I'll go ahead and jump in on this one, but I think that Fatu is destined for great things. I don't think he's going to drop the title just yet, but I just got to say, this is the one that I'll admit I might be wrong on. I wouldn't be surprised if someone steals this one.
All right, no, this is the one that this is the one I'm wavering on. No, I feel like this is Fatu without a doubt. I mean, I think Fatu is going to get a little bit of a run like Dominic's going to get right now. Have the title for a minute before he goes on to bigger and better things. And I think this is a great match with a bunch of people kind of just sitting there right now in the same position. Like, I mean, in the fact that, yeah, it could be any of these guys, right? Like, and we can make an argument for any of these guys and what they could do with the title. You know, I mean, McIntyre, obviously, something needs to happen with McIntyre. Like, this needs to be the end of Priest and McIntyre. Like, I need this to end. I need a new McIntyre storyline. I don't know where he goes. I like the LA Knight Damian Priest storyline that kind of felt like it was kind of coming before this, you know. I like that. I like this weird like frenemy thing they've got going on, you know. But nobody's got a better storyline right now than Jacob Fatu, than the Samoan Werewolf. Nobody's got a better storyline. I just don't know. Like I said, I think we've talked about it many times now. What do you do with Solo? You know, when's Solo going to come into play? How does he come into play? I don't know. I just don't know. But man, it's so weird. It's so weird to think of the Samoan Werewolf as a face. You know? Yeah,
right. Well, the thing that really throws me off about the whole Solo and Jacob situation is I feel like with Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa being here, then the Solo and Jacob match is probably much further down the line. But now that both of them seem to be injured, maybe we're going to accelerate that a little more. And then maybe Tamatonga and Tongaloa coming back in will just further that tension between the two. So who knows? Maybe we see Solo unintentionally cost Jacob the title here, or maybe he does even do the physical turn. But I gotta say, as much as I think that Fatu has like a 80% chance to retain here, the other 20% is not so spread out between the other three competitors as you might think. I think that LA Knight has a less than 1% chance of winning this match.
That's what I was going to say. If it's not Fatu, who is it? They're not going to give it back to LA Knight, right?
I think it's going to be, well, no, because here's the thing. I think that this feud was made to, let me see how I'm trying to explain this. I think that coming out of this feud, LA Knight has further cemented himself as a main event superstar. And if not on the mic alone, his matches lately have actually been good too. Mm-hmm. So I think that keeping him to the United States title, although it is a prestigious title, might be damning to him right now at this point in his career. I think you've got to capitalize off that momentum. And if you're not going to put the title on him in terms of the World Heavyweight Championship or the WWE Championship, then if nothing else, you need him feuding against main event guys. Now, if you want to keep him going against Damian Priest, I think that's a good route to go if you want to keep this little frenemy thing going. And that leads me to one guy. If it's not going to be Jacob Fatu, if it's not going to be LA Knight because he may feud with Damian Priest, I wouldn't be shocked if Drew McIntyre is your new U.S. champion after this Fatal 4-Way is all said and done.
I just don't know what that does then. I guess we'll see.
He still becomes a Grand Slam champion after that.
We still have a SmackDown to go, and he can show up on SmackDown. There could be some more build-up. I think that's the one thing missing right now is, like, I know Drew McIntyre doesn't get along with these guys, but I haven't felt the fire from him like I felt from the other three.
Yeah. Well, I think we're going to get a tag match between them, to be honest. I wouldn't be surprised if Friday night is LA Knight and Damian Priest versus Jacob Fatu and Drew McIntyre. That wouldn't surprise me if that's
then that'd be even weirder to team Fatu with McIntyre. That'd be even weird.
That's the point. You get the enemies against each other. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
It's a common trope in pro wrestling. Is
right.
The two,
I just don't know. I don't know. And like, who does Fatu pin to get this? Who does he pin?
He wins,
does he pin LA Knight?
No. If Fatu wins, I think he's pinning Priest. To be honest.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Because I think that Drew is coming off a big win over Priest. When you look at everybody in the group, right? Solo's coming off a big Mania win. LA Knight is coming off of a Mania loss, but he has, like I said, been cementing himself in these last 3 weeks. And then you look at Drew, who's coming off a big WrestleMania win. The only guy that it wouldn't really hurt to eat a pin right now is Damian Priest, in my opinion, because he's the one that's already kind of like on the downslope, and you can easily bring him back up with a few wins in a row.
See, I put Priest and McIntyre. Their feud continues, and they're outside the ring beating the crap out of each other, and that leaves Fatu and LA Knight in the ring together, like at the end. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I've got Fatu pinning Knight. I feel like so.
Okay. Well, I wouldn't be surprised, I guess, I wouldn't be surprised if Priest and McIntyre continue their rivalry. I just don't want it.
Right. I don't want it either. I feel like this is going to be the end of it or something like that, but there's still something's going to happen and they're going to get distracted outside the ring,
Well, I'm hoping, like I said, this leads to, let's say my scenario happens. Drew wins and now we have to figure out what to do with Drew. Well, we can give we can give Fatu his rematch against Drew at the next PLE. And maybe that's even where Solo could stick his nose in, mess it up, intentionally do something. And then we could segue out. And we can have LA Knight and Damian Priest go and do their thing, where they have a few matches. Because, again, you're not making any four of these guys world champions this year, more than likely, with John Cena running around with that belt. Unless you move one of them over to Raw, and I don't see that happening. So if that's the case, you got to give these guys main event level feuds without there being a championship. And outside of like Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns and John Cena on the SmackDown brand, a lot of these guys are it. This is your main event scene technically right now.
Right.
So I think that these guys are going to all four be heavily involved in the booking this year for SmackDown. So we'll see. Let's jump into the next match. Now, this one, I think we all kind of are in agreement on the way it should go. We'll see if they actually do it. But up next is going to be Gunther versus Pat McAfee.
This one, I mean, I want to say it comes down to how much does McAfee get offensively in, But I did read an interesting take where he said we still don't know. Do we know what kind of match this is? Is this just a normal match,
one-on-one?
So there's easy DQs and whatnot then. So I mean, because I read one where watch people are going to be coming out to McAfee's help, or whatever, distract Gunther, and McAfee's going to pin Gunther. you know?
Now, I will say I wouldn't be terribly surprised if someone does come out but the only thing is like the someone it would have to be for me for it to make sense would be Goldberg, and I just don't think that's happening this early.
I mean, it could be a number of people. What if it's like, I've read it could be anybody from Sami Zayn to Jay to just people coming out there to distraction, or whatever.
I don't think it would be Jay. And I feel like Sammy's too integrated. I really don't think there's any interference in this match, to be honest.
All right.
I think this is and I think actually, here's one of the beautiful storytelling aspects of pro wrestling. I think the fact that this is a one-on-one match and there are regular rules is actually beneficial to Gunther's character as the heel. Because you have a 10 count that you have to abide by the outside of the ring. So he could keep McAfee outside and beat him down to the 9 count, roll in, roll right back out, reset the count. And people hate that. Or he's going to pin McAfee and he probably should win. And he's going to, pull him back up at 2 and break the pin. And he'll do that a few times. He's like, oh, no, I'm not done with you yet. So there are multiple ways that you can lean into your heel tactics, especially when there are punishments for leaning into those heel tactics. If it's a no disqualification match, then he just squashes him for 30 seconds and then the match can be over. But that's not what it's about. Gunther wants to punish this guy and abuse this guy and brutalize this guy. And so I think that there's going to be a point in the match where we kind of look at each other and we're like, man, this is kind of brutal.
That's what I'm wondering. How brutal is McAfee gonna let it get? I guess,
Oh, I think McAfee's all for it, dude. I think it's gonna go he's got Scott Steiner that's been coming in and training him recently. So he's all in on the story. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see this huge move that might even be the turning point. McAfee likes to do this jump on the top ropes thing and then does a move up there. I wouldn't be surprised if he plants Gunther on the top rope seated, and then he jumps up and maybe Gunther catches him and then does a huge power bomb off the top rope. McAfee is not scared to put his body on the line to hit these big and great spots. So I think this is going to be brutal. I think if any match is going to get bloody, it's going to be this one, and it's not going to be Gunther's. So I think it's going to be a beatdown, but I think it's pivotal to the story, and I really hope that McAfee sells it and is off of TV for 3 weeks or something.
Does he choke McAfee out again?
Yeah, most definitely. That's the whole trope of it. I think so. Yeah.
All right,
I keep saying the word trope, but I think that's the whole thing that we're all waiting for is he's going to choke him out again. And that's where I think if the interference is, or if somebody comes out, that's where it's going to happen. He has him in the choke and just holds it for so long that finally somebody's music hits. Like I said, if anybody does, I think it'd be Goldberg. But for me personally, this may be a little too early, especially considering that if I were going to do Goldberg Gunther at any show, it would be Paris or in Australia later in the year. And those are a few months out. So unless they're going to do a long build between Goldberg and Gunther, which I don't really see.
No.
This is a little too early. So I think this is just going to be a Pat McAfee beatdown. All right. Up next, one that I think I'm really excited for. I think you are as well. But the Women's Intercontinental Championship is going to be defended by Lyra Valkyria against Becky Lynch. Now, this has become a little bit of a blood rivalry. And I got to be honest, if there were any match outside of Gunther and Pat that I would like to see blood, I think it might actually be this one. Becky Lynch became this character, the man, this new persona, whenever right before a Survivor Series PLE or pay-per-view at the time, SmackDown invaded Raw and Nia Jax busted her nose open. And whenever the SmackDown women went back into the crowd, Becky Lynch was standing there tall, fist in the air, blood just running down her face. It was one of the most badass moments we've ever seen from a wrestler, much less a women's wrestler in the business. So it was great. And so I think that there's a lot of bad blood here. I don't know that it's the last time we're going to see these women go back and forth in this series. I think there may be 1 or 2 more matches. That being said, I'm kind of torn. I don't know who to pick. I really don't.
See,
I want to hear from you.
This was the one that I go back and forth on. I mean, I keep thinking everything in my brain tells me it's Becky. Everything in my brain tells me Becky's winning this match. But then I keep thinking about Bayley, and we're talking about yet again. I feel like surprises. Where the surprise is going to come from at Backlash, and one of the surprises is Bayley showing up and helping Lyra win. Or maybe yet again causing her to lose. I don't know, but I feel like. I don't know. I feel like we got to get Bayley in this match, or she's showing up, right? I mean, 100%.
I hope so. I think so.
Right.
But
I mean,
the only way I really see her showing up is if Becky wins, maybe. Because I don't think she would run out to stop Becky from winning. I mean, maybe she would.
I don't know.
I mean, I guess that could you could have
She,
her
I
run
mean,
out and
Becky admitted, that she's the reason, that she lost the
true,
WrestleMania spot.
and you could have
So
Bailey
what if
run out and cost
what if
Becky the match.
or yeah, what if Lyra wins by, DQ or whatever, or and she
Or
doesn't
what
give
if that's the roll
I
up
mean,
win?
or what if Becky wins by DQ but she doesn't get the title? You know what I mean? Right?
She could.
And then how it works, so
Yeah, you're right. I just hate seeing false finishes on PLEs.
right.
But I could see that, we talked about maybe somebody running out to save McAfee, and that's when McAfee gets the sneak roll up win. What if that happens here?
It could be something like that. Yeah, that's why
Bailey comes out and Lyra just boom for the title, and then she runs out, and her and Bailey are at the top of the ramp.
That's why this match for me is the only one that I'm not 100 on. I feel like you said, no doubt Jacob's winning, no doubt, Gunther's winning, no doubt Dom's winning. Feel like should be no doubt Becky's winning. But what does Bailey do? I feel like she's got to be a part of this match, and whatever she does is going to influence it. I'm still picking Becky because I feel like that gives some legitimacy to the title more. And you can always have Lyra come back and win it back. And that also creates a rivalry. Whereas if Becky doesn't win, I don't know how much of a rivalry it is because Becky just be like, you're beneath me. I mean, even though, Lyra's got an NXT title win over her, even though she's got that, people aren't going to be thinking about that. They're just going to be thinking about this. So I feel like Becky has to win for the rivalry to go and for the titles to go, and it gives somewhere for Bailey to go as well, and it gives these three ladies somewhere to go, and who knows who else jumps on this train. But I'm still not 100 on this one.
Yeah, this one's tough for me. I kind of want to go opposite of you because in my heart or in my gut, I feel like it's Becky, and you know what they say about going against your gut, but part of me, I can see it happening either way, like you said, and part of me wants to go Lyra. Just to be different, I'll go Lyra. I think Lyra's going to retain.
Now, does she retain
like
because of
split.
Bailey then? Does she retain because of Bailey though? Or does she just straight up retain? Is it just a straight up awesome match? She's flying all over the place and she gets the move,
I'll say, I don't know, man. I don't know. Because now that I'm thinking about it, Lyra has stood tall for 2 Raws in a row. Yeah, I think I'm actually going to go Becky. I think I'm going to take Becky. But I tell you what, though, I am going to go back, and I say go back, but I do kind of really like the idea of Drew winning the U.S. title. So I may, at the end of the show, we'll do official predictions. So I'm going to be thinking about that one. But yeah, I'll go Becky. I'll go Becky. All right. Main event for maybe the last time ever. Probably not. For the undisputed WWE Championship, John Cena defending against Randy Orton in the year 2025. Who would have thought? Yeah, John Cena defending against Randy Orton for the undisputed WWE Championship in Randy Orton's hometown. Now, I feel like, again, this is one of the ones that we kind of see going the way that I think we're in agreement here on where it's going. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I wouldn't be terribly surprised if something does happen and the title is put on Randy in a really shocking fashion. I don't think it's going to happen, but I think there's like a 10% chance that it could. What do you always tell me
about wrestlers in their hometowns?
They do always lose. Now, I will say though, this year's Backlash in terms of the World Championship match for the main event feels different because last year, this is why The Rock disappearing frustrated me so much, and then him coming back and saying that none of it mattered is because in the build up to WrestleMania last year, we had all of this stuff that happened with The Rock and Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns, but especially between The Rock and Cody Rhodes, that gave us this inclination that we were getting a world championship match between the two. And of course, it never came to fruition. They've never even had a one-on-one match. And then now The Rock has all come out and said that all of it was basically for naught and that it doesn't really mean anything in the grand scheme of things. But last year, we were still under that preconceived notion that we were getting Rock and Cody for the title. So Cody's defense going against AJ Styles last year at Backlash was a foregone conclusion that Cody was not losing that championship. And I don't think that's the same situation for John Cena this year. I think that any defense this year could be Cena losing that title. And so I don't necessarily think that he has to go the whole year with it, because I don't think that's the storyline anymore. I think there's going to be multiple layers and multiple stories built into this last run for Cena. And the first part of his run was getting that championship. And now he has that championship. And the second part of his run is ruining wrestling. And now he's going to ruin wrestling. We don't know exactly what that constitutes or what that is, but that's his plans. With all of that being said, I think John Cena will walk out with the championship, But you and I have talked about a few different scenarios where Randy Orton could still be the winner. So I'll let you talk a little bit more about that. But I'm going John Cena.
All right, I got two questions for you. Really, it's what's the over under on the length of this match? Over under 12 minutes.
I'll say because Cena is moving so slow now, I'll say over. Well, you got to think about it. It's weird now. The heelish thing to do for part-time wrestlers in 2025 is to just take your moveset and half speed. That's really all it, like The Rock. You don't see him moving more than like a slight jog in the ring because most of his moves are like walk here, talk a little smack, boom, do my move, boom, do my move, walk here, talk a little smack, boom. And John Cena does a lot of that same thing. So I think this could be like a 23-minute match.
Wow.
Just because a lot of it is going to be smack talking. There may be shenanigans. There may be interferences. You know, who knows if Travis Scott is going to show up.
Oh, God, I didn't
There's
think about
so
that.
much stuff that could happen. And the fact that both of these guys are the age they are, you know, they've been doing this for 25 years. I wouldn't be surprised. And you're going to have a lot of moments teased. Like Randy Orton's going to be teasing the putt the whole match. There's going to be 6 or 7 minutes of this match that's just them staring at the crowd or doing taunts or building up for moves. Like a lot of this match is going to be filler, and that's why I think it'll go over. But second question.
All right, second question. Cody Rhodes show up? I'm not saying even during, after even. Nope. You don't think he shows up at all at the PLE?
I think Cody's gone until June.
Oh, he's booked for the 16th. So he's
of this month?
He's booked for the SmackDown after
I didn't even know.
Yeah.
So no, I'll still say no, but I did not know he was booked for the 16th.
He's booked for the SmackDown after Backlash. So what are the chances he pops? I'm just trying to give you surprise. Like I said, Backlash had, like I said, right here, we went almost chalk. We almost went chalk down the line. Cena, Becky, Fatu, Dom, Gunther. So there's got to be surprises somewhere. Where are they coming? Travis Scott being here, that might be a little bit of a surprise. But like you said, Cody Rhodes coming out. You know, like where said a Jey Uso, Logan Paul promo. You know, even. You know, I mean,
I'm sure we'll see something for sure. There's going to be some backstage segment or interaction or something that wasn't planned, of course. But Cody specifically, I could see maybe him showing up and them doing like a backstage interview or something like that. But I'll still say no. If I'm wrong on it, fine. But I'll say no. I'll say that they're pushing that, you know, return to SmackDown.
I mean, what if he shows up? He's the guest referee.
Well, the thing about Let me paint this beautiful picture that your mind creates sometimes, Matt, is you think that WWE wants to give a lot of these surprises away for free. Mm-hmm. If Cody was going to be the special ref, they would announce that 2 weeks ago so they could boost us ticket sales.
I see.
Yeah. That's at least what I would do if I were booking. But again, I'm not running WWE. So I don't think surprises are bad. But in terms of a surprise that big, you would want people to know about it. And so, like I said, if Cody shows up, I'll admit I'm happily wrong because I really didn't think he was going to show up till like June or July. But now that knowing he's back on the 16th, I'll say no and that he's going to save it till SmackDown to get that pop there. All right, so let's get official because I'm telling you right now, we're agreeing on Dom.
Agree on everything unless you're switching to McIntyre for you know.
I'm taking Drew. I'm switching to
Drew. Makes no sense. You just want to be difficult.
Well, no, because listen, I do actually have some reasonable logic here.
All right.
I think that Fatu and Solo is the destination, and Fatu is so good that you saw what happened with Jey Uso. Look how short his Intercontinental Championship reign was before he was world champion just a few months later. And so I wouldn't be surprised if the U.S. title is just a placeholder for Fatu. And like I said, 80% is Fatu winning this title and retaining the title. But there's that 20% of Drew did all that work last year and really felt like he deserved that main event push at WrestleMania. He didn't get that. And not only did he not get that, but he and Drew put on a really good program, a really good rivalry, and had a pretty decent match. And I really feel like LA Knight is destined for the main event. I think Damian Priest is a like perennial main eventer. Looking on the outside of this, because I don't see Drew feuding with any three of these guys for long term, I think that the only thing that makes sense for Drew is to either go off and do something brand new that we're not even thinking about, or win this United States Championship, especially. And I'll have to fact check myself. I'll do it in a second, but I don't think he's won the U.S. title to make the Grand Slam championship. And this could be his reward from the front office saying like, hey, look, we really appreciate you for being a company guy. Thank you for signing that new contract last year. Thank you for sticking it out through WrestleMania and putting on a great program. Here's the U.S. title for a few months, and here's a Grand Slam champion for you. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's the move. And I think it's so unexpected, like you said, that it could catch a lot of people off guard. That could be the big surprise.
All right. All right.
And again, fatal 4-way, no disqualification, open to shenanigans. Shenanigans can happen and it be excusable. So we're going to go Dom, you go Fatu, I'll go Drew, and then we're same thing, Gunther, Becky, and Cena. So now I wanted to ask you about the main event, though. Do you think that Cena gets disqualified on purpose? Because that's been the big rumor. Because a lot of people think he's going to do the callback. Because he's going to slap the ref or do something to get himself disqualified.
God. You know, I wouldn't be surprised, honestly. I how you said there was going to be a lot of talking in between moves and whatnot. I can see Cena just hanging out outside the ring for a lot of it, too. Like, you know, I'm just gonna chill out here, you know. If he gets 10 counted, what does it matter? You know, right?
Exactly.
You know? So
exactly. He might try, because that's another typical heel trope. Is you're like, I'm out of here. I don't need this crap, and you just walk away with your title because you can't lose it. So you know, maybe Cena feels like he's in a little bit of a pickle. He feels like he's about to lose the match. His big thing this run has been the low blows. So maybe he just hits Randy with a low blow, and the ref's like, "What the hell, John?" And then calls the match, and John's like, "All right, cool, I'm out," and just leaves with his title.
No, I can see a DQ finish for sure.
I think it's going to be a DQ finish, or I wouldn't be surprised if it's a DQ finish with Randy hitting an RKO to stand tall in his hometown. That feels like because then technically Randy wins and he gets to stand tall, but he just doesn't leave with the title, and so now you want to see him win it even more.
Yeah, no, it's like an RKO to you know, Cena rolling out of the ring to, like you said, being like, I'm done with this. I don't care. He's like, look, I'm taking the title. I told you I'm ruining wrestling. I told you that's what I came here to do.
I even think the count-out thing, because the way it typically happens is the heel tries to leave and then the babyface chases him down and throws him back in. You know, I think that's more likely than him just leaving and them counting him out. This being the main event, I don't think that they would piss the audience off that bad. Because the DQ thing is one thing. At least then you can see him stand tall. But if you just let him walk out and leave, then you don't even get the Randy Orton RKO. You know, you don't even get the RKO for him to stand tall. I think that they want that final scene of Cena still has the title, but he's laid out on his back because of the RKO and Randy standing over him to end the show. That's the way I kind of see it going. And then in the post show, we can get Randy instead of Cena, because Cena probably won't talk because he lost or, you know, got RKO'd. But yeah, so that's been our Backlash predictions. Matt, do you have anything else you want to throw in? Anything else you're looking forward to?
Hey, look, The Rock's going to show up.
I don't want him to anymore. I'm telling you, my Rock excitement is gone. He would have to come back and he would have to do something great for me to at least be excited for him to come back anymore, because the excitement is even gone. You know, the goosebumps he does, I don't even get those anymore. I hear the music and it's just an eye roll.
Right.
Because what matters anymore? What matters now? We don't know. But yeah, that's been our Backlash predictions. Be sure to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hey, you guys have been killing it on the Reels and the Shorts viewership. We really appreciate it. You guys have us nearly... Dude, we're almost at 10,000 views total between everything.
We need some more comments, though. Throw them comments out there. You know, get some comments on there.
Shout out, though. We did get a comment from a new viewer. I can't remember his name. I'll shout you out at the beginning of the next video. But he dropped a comment on the LA Knight video saying that he wishes we could see LA Knight and Cena, but that he agrees and that we probably won't get to see it in this run. You know, and maybe that's where LA Knight goes. Maybe that's where LA Knight is headed. Maybe his main event push is going to be a win over John Cena, or at least a program with him.
Maybe, I mean, yeah, I can see him getting, like you said, a Saturday night main event, you know, against John Cena. You know, I can see that, you know. So LA Knight on a Saturday night, you know. So
yeah, LA Saturday night main event. There you go. All right. Well, yeah. So make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you're checking in with everything that we're doing. We've got regular YouTube uploads coming that aren't just our reviews or predictions. We've got top 10 lists coming, a lot of other stuff. Just be on the lookout.
Opening. I got to get Casey to open these AliExpress packages. So
yeah, then the last few times we tried to do it, the torrential downpour has just decided to grace us with its presence.
The weather has not been kind.
But it's going to be kind for the next few days. So we'll take advantage of it. We'll get that out to you. Yeah, that AliExpress opening is going to be a lot of fun. I don't even know what's in it. Matt did all the ordering. So it's going to be a complete surprise to me. I'm really, really anxious to see what he got.
It's been long enough that it's almost going to be a surprise to me. So
yeah. Hey, there you go. That's the good old postal service. And then, hey, but the semester's almost over, Di. So we're
It
almost
is.
done with the semester.
It is.
But all right, until next time, this has been TK Wrestling with our Backlash predictions. Let us know if you agree. Let us know if you think we're wrong. Come back after Backlash and come tell us how right we were, because you know we're going to get all of them right. Well, I will, because Drew's going to win that U.S. title match. But come back after. Let us know how right we were. Yeah, right. All right, well, we'll see you next time. This has been TK Wrestling, and we are out.
Out.